Well, the marketing blitz for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is officially underway, but even though Nintendo hosted preview events and uploaded an extensive overview trailer, there's actually even more information that a lot of people have missed. I'm talking new story details, footage of weapons we haven't seen in use before, and even new boss battle footage. Now, before we get fully into this, guys, I do want to say all of this is official information from Nintendo of Japan. It's not a leak. It is publicly available. However, that being said, if you are somebody who is very susceptible to spoilers and you don't want to know anything about the story, you don't want to see any more details about bosses, even some bosses that we haven't seen yet, abilities, things like that, then you probably don't want to go to the site. You probably don't want to watch the rest of this video. I just want to caution you. Me personally, I don't regret having read through all of it, but even I was a bit surprised, like, oh, I'm surprised they're putting it out there. Now, maybe it's because Japan is a place where Metroid really doesn't sell well, so perhaps this is them trying to do a little bit more to reach that audience there. The website has 5 main sections where we can find all the information. There are videos and screenshots here, but also a lot of different text explanations, which I've attempted to run through a translator. So keep in mind, this is not going to be 100% accurate here. You guys know how these translations are. At the same time, I do still think we can get a pretty good idea of what's being said here. And hey, if you're someone out there who speaks Japanese, definitely feel free to let me know if any of these translations are way off or if there's something big here that we're missing. So the first page we'll walk through is called FPA Metroid, with FPA standing for First Person Adventure, which Nintendo has always emphasized with Prime. It's not a first-person shooter per se, but something slightly different. Now, this first section contains mostly information that we already know about, so I'm just going to skim through it quickly here. Talks about exploring a world from Samus's first-person perspective, utilize various abilities to defeat enemies that stand in your way, and aim to escape from an unknown planet. Then we go down to the exploration section here, which talks about ancient text engraved in ruins, native creatures living throughout the areas. It also mentions how you have to carefully analyze the mysteries hidden on the planet and gradually expand the range you step into. Then we have information on the scan visor here, which is going to decipher ancient text and analyze creatures lurking on the planet or substances that you have yet to encounter. And here with this section, we can also see a little video that goes along with it. Same for the next section here, which is about solving mysteries. Even paths that seem impossible to proceed through can be advanced by activating mechanisms. Now, I'm sure that translation is a little off there, but I think we all know, if you've played a Metroid game before, you know generally how you're going to encounter areas that at first you can't seem to access, but then you come back later with a new ability and you'll be able to get through. I'm pretty sure that is what they're talking about here. Similar to the next section here where it says changing form to progress, there are narrow places that seem impassable, but can actually be navigated by transforming into the morph ball. Then we move on to the acquiring abilities section, which is talking about how this will expand your exploration range, which again goes back to what we're talking about before with it opening up more of the world for you to explore. By using new abilities gained as you progress through exploration, you can advance into areas that were previously inaccessible. Now then we have a section called Battle, where everything shifts, and this is where things really start to get interesting here. The first little preview block here at the top talks about monstrous creatures lurking on the planet, manipulated androids, massive key guardians. Then we have a new video here that talks about locking on, how you can automatically aim at enemies or move around in the circle. Again, we know about this from the previous Prime games. But the next video here talks about switching weapons, and for the first time that I'm aware of, we get video of the other missiles in action. The text reads something to the effect of choose weapons according to the enemy's characteristics and weaknesses and advance the battle in your favor. Now for me, I think one of the most interesting bits here is seeing how this compares to what we've seen in previous Prime games. Of course, we've had variations of missiles and beams throughout the Metroid series, but this one right here, it seems the way they're handling it is plasma and what I assume is wave, along with ice, are all grouped over here in the bottom left along with your standard missile. So in the original Metroid Prime, we had the wave beam, the plasma beam, the ice beam, as well as the traditional charge beam. Those had unlimited ammo, but the way they're doing it here, at least from what we can see right now, all of these are considered as missile types, which means that they're actually capped in your ammo capacity. You can see the number go down here when Samus fires what I'm going to assume is called a plasma missile. We go from 36 to 35, and then from 35 to 34. Then in the next section here, she quickly switches over to the ice missile, and we go from 40 to 39. Then moments later, she fires another, dropping it down to 38. Now, while I think this looks like a cool system, at the same time, I really hope that we have traditional beams as well, and we're not just stuck with the same basic beam throughout the whole game. Although I should also point out this time around, Samus's basic charge beam seems to be more of a wave beam style, especially in the coloration. Now, in the next section, we get a look at not one, not two, but 3 boss battles, 2 of which I don't believe we've seen before. The text here says something to the effect of facing powerful enemies in battles against strong foes, the balance of attack and evasion is key. With calm analysis and judgment, find the key to break through. The first video shows Samus fighting a boss in the ice area. You can even see there's a massive layer of ice completely under Samus here as she circles around the boss in this arena. You can see the boss is spherical in shape here and just has this very tough exterior shell, along with a series of sharp spikes protruding from its skin. And then in the second part of this clip, it looks like this arena is now completely out of the open, so I'm not sure if we're going to get some sort of destruction here where the boss breaks through the ice. It even looks like this spinning could possibly be manipulating the weather here. And I don't know about you guys, but this has given me some flashbacks to the Thardus boss fight in Metroid Prime. The second one is yet another look at the Finneros boss fight, which we saw a bit of in the new trailer. And then the third one shows this crab-like boss where he's actually crawling up on the side of the wall here. Then it jumps to a different scene with the boss now on the ground directly in front of us and approaching. Now scrolling down a bit further, the next section focuses on the Carvex boss fight, which we've already seen. This section, however, is specifically highlighting the fact that you can analyze weaknesses. Again, something they're bringing back from the original Metroid Prime. The text is, while watching for the enemy's openings, calmly analyze with a scan. While searching for weaknesses, wait for a chance to counterattack. So that is all just on this first page here. When we go to the next section, this one is all about the story. At the top, we have some preview text that talks about the opening of a new chapter. The year is 20X9. I'm not sure how exactly that's calculated, but seems far into the future. The top section here is mostly information we already know. It's talking about the Galactic Federation being under attack by a space pirate army led by none other than Sylux. The Federation then requests Samus's help, who happened to be on a nearby survey mission. Then we go into a section talking about the characters, and we have information here on Samus, Sylux, the space pirates, Metroids, the Lemorn race, and even everyone's favorite Galactic Federation troopers. Starting with Samus here at the top, she's a bounty hunter among the best in the galaxy, capable of accomplishing any difficult mission. She heads to a Galactic Federation base in response to the rescue request, but gets caught up in an unexpected accident and is transported to an unknown planet. Sylux, we now know, is the mastermind behind the attack on the Federation, and we do know he has a past connection with Samus. It seems that Sylux was actually preparing for this confrontation with the Galactic Federation, and he's specifically targeting research facilities across various locations. He's acquiring all their latest technologies one after the other. Now, the space pirates once again make a return here in Metroid Prime 4. The text here talks about their raiding army corps plotting domination of the galaxy. They consist of various forms of extraterrestrials, also of various military branches and ranks. And this is where it gets really interesting, because if this translation here is anywhere close, it seems that this commander class is actually fused with Sylux and the Metroids. Their consciousness has been taken over, which means the entire army is directly under Sylux's control. Now, speaking of Metroids, upon confronting Sylux, Samus spots a familiar floating life form beside it. Now, because of Metroid's biological nature, they've often been utilized as biological weapons in military applications. A new piece of information that we get here is that this is actually a Sylux Metroid, a strain cultivated by Sylux. This is actually what's giving him the ability to control the Metroid here. It is completely under his command. Then we get a bit more about the Lemorn here, a race that once inhabited planet Vuros. Among them were individuals born with a crystal on their forehead. These individuals were capable of using psychic abilities. Now, it also tells us that Samus actually gets a glimpse of the will of the last surviving member of the race, the last Lemorn, at the top floor of the Chrono Tower. Now, more on the Chrono Tower here in just a moment. Of course, we also have to talk about the Galactic Federation troopers here, and this section here is really just speaking to the fact that some of them are actually transported alongside Samus to that mysterious planet. Now let's talk all about Vuros, and this section has some of the most interesting bits of information by far that we did not have before. And it all starts here at the top with the Chrono Tower. We even get an autoplay video here. The Chrono Tower is a massive tower built at the center of Soul Valley, a structure that can be called a symbol of the psychic civilization. All doors, elevators, and the like are designed to respond to psychic power. Those without psychic abilities cannot enter without the guidance of a guardian. It is also a place for trials where the authentication of the chosen one is conducted. All of this is accessible from the Chrono Tower. Now, at the pinnacle of the summit, there is a master teleporter activation device and a healing pod. Additionally, after something known as the Great Tragedy, it is said that the Lemorn and others modified these bots here, turning them into defensive robots within the Chrono Tower. Now, in one of those clips that you've already seen autoplaying here, note that Samus is apparently waking up here at the Chrono Tower. Also, she still has her base Variasuit and arm cannon. Now, in addition to the Chrono Tower, we get a breakdown here of the 6 different locations that we're going to find in Vuros. Of course, who knows if this list is exhaustive or not. You would think they're holding something back for the final game, but this could in fact be all the regions that we're going to be exploring here. It all starts at the top with Fury Green, which is a lush jungle region. Now there's something here in this location called the Sacred Tree, as well as the Temple of Memories, both built in the ancient civilization era. In the past, at the altar within the temple, the Lemorn priests offered prayers and their memories were stored in the tree. By offering a green crystal at the altar, the memories accumulated in the tree can be made to bear fruit as memory fruits. During the mechanical civilization era, cutting-edge technology was brought into the temple. This is when the cargo launcher that connects to Soul Valley and the temple was created. Now, I'll let you guys try to figure out how that's going to be used in gameplay there, but with the specific mention of green crystals and memory fruits, I think those are absolutely going to be gameplay mechanics that we'll need to piece together what exactly happened here on this planet. Now, the next section is the Soul Valley, which has generated a lot of discussion online for the fact that it looks a little bit barren from what we've seen so far. Well, the description here gives us a bit more information. This is a vast desert region, we knew that part, and it also confirms that it does in fact serve as a hub connecting the other various areas. The Chrono Tower is at the center of Soul Valley. We know that the green crystals are scattered all throughout the Soul Valley, but this little bit of text here also mentions that there are multiple Lemorn ruins. And guys, it says that all of these ruins are underground, said to contain items prepared by the Lemorn race for the Chosen One, who will one day appear. Of course, we all know who the Chosen One most likely is, but the fact that there are confirmed underground ruins, this is something that a lot of people have been speculating about, and as far as I know, we haven't seen inside any of these in official footage, so we really don't know how extensive these ruins are. It could be a very small thing, or they could pull a Tears of the Kingdom and have an entirely extra area all underground. Now, the next area is called the Volt Forge. This is a vehicle manufacturing factory shrouded in thunderclouds. This was built during the Lemorn mechanical civilization era. It was all managed by an AI composed of organic cells. I'm sure the translation isn't entirely accurate there. I'm trying to figure out how that works exactly. Is this like some sort of fusion of AI with also actual life forms? The area consists of multiple towers, each with different functions for vehicle manufacturing, storage, and testing. It is equipped with a device that converts lightning strikes into electricity, ensuring no shortage of power as long as that device is functioning. Research and development for Viola was also conducted here, as well as suits for riding Viola. We'll find those here as well. All the latest prototypes still remain within the facility. Now, we have seen a bit of the Volt Forge so far in all the footage that's released, but I'll call your attention to this specific clip right here, because this actually looks very different from the rest of the area. Very different from what we've seen so far. Definite Tron vibes going on here, so I'm not sure. Maybe this is some sort of simulation where we can actually practice riding Viola. Definitely curious, though, in learning more about that. Up next, we have the Ice Belt, and this was a research institute in a frigid region. This was originally a place for researching the various creatures on Vyros. After the Great Tragedy, however, it was then used to investigate the cause and ultimately seek solutions. It also has a transport system of containers here, which are called cryopods. These lower the body temperature of organisms for safe transfer, and you'll find this transport system all throughout the facility. Then we have the Flare Pool, a facility built inside a volcano. This facility is equipped with a system to extract green energy from the Vyros lava. It then packs that energy together and launches it towards Soul Valley via an energy diffusion cannon. This diffusion of green energy was carried out to activate the flora and fauna living in harsh environments. Here we get a look at a new Viola feature, something we didn't know that it could do before, because not only could Samus use it to traverse across the sand of the Soul Valley, apparently it actually has a hover bike mode as well. She's actually using it here to cross the pools of magma. Finally, we get to the Great Mines section here. This is a mining site extending deep underground. The Lemorn mined various ores, but the discovery of the Vyros crystals became the trigger for evolving their civilization from mechanic to psychic. And that right there, guys, I think is ultimately the connection between the bike that is featured prominently in the promotion for Metroid Prime 4 and the new psychic abilities. So while the bike was certainly a surprise to many of us when it was first announced, I do really enjoy the fact that they're actually tying it into the lore of the world. This isn't just going to be some random thing that we find for no reason. It is actually directly connected to the Lemorn and their history as a civilization. This Great Mines area, though, it features a massive elevator in the center, which allowed mined ores from deep underground to be loaded onto large large vehicles and transported to the surface. The clips here also confirm that the spider ball will once again be returning, and we can also use it with this morph ball grapple ability. Not only that, we get a quick look at a new missile upgrade that looks much closer to something like a super missile. Now, the last two sections here on this page are a bit more about Viola. The top one here talks about how by riding Viola, which was invented by the Lemorne race, you can race across the vast desert expanse of Soul Valley and move at high speeds to each zone. Then, once again, we get a mention of the ruins here. Ruins that were built by the Lemorne race in the past are scattered throughout Soul Valley. If you can open the entrance guarded by statues, you will be led into these underground ruins. Now, that page had a lot of information, but we've got even more on the next page here, which is all about new powers and abilities. The top heading here focuses on the psychic powers as well as the high-performance vehicle named Viola. Samus inherits these two powers left behind by the Lemorne race, which help advance her exploration of the planet Vuros. Alright, first let's talk about the psychic power, which we know was inherited from the Lemorne race, once a flourishing species on Vuros. Samus gains the ability to manipulate psychic energy, which help her unlock new paths and solve ancient puzzles. Now, then they actually get into specifics here. The first one they talk about is psychic vision. By activating this psychic vision, Samus can perceive hidden mechanisms and pathways invisible to the naked eye. Then we have the telekinetic lift. Using telekinetic lift, Samus can move heavy objects or debris, clearing obstacles in her way. And then the third one mentioned here is mind barrier. With Mind Barrier, Samus creates a protective shield, deflecting enemy attacks temporarily. Then we get even more information here about Viola, which is a cutting-edge vehicle developed by the Lemorne race. It was designed specifically for traversing the diverse terrains of Vuros. Samus can ride Viola to cover vast distances quickly. And then it goes into a few specific abilities of Viola here. First, we have the speed boost, which allows Samus to accelerate across open areas, reaching new zones efficiently. Then the next one talks about terrain adaptation, which again goes back to what we saw before, with it acting as a little hovercraft of sorts to go over the magma. Here it confirms that Viola adapts to various surfaces, from desert sands to icy plains, all to ensure stable movement in any environment. So while we've primarily seen Viola being used out in the Soul Valley, this definitely seems to confirm that it is not limited just to the sand. We're going to be using it on magma, we're going to be using it on ice, and who knows where else we'll actually be able to use this. And then the last point here on Viola talks about the weapon integration. Viola can be equipped with weapons, enabling Samus to engage enemies while on the move. Now, this is of course something that we've seen a lot of in the lead up to Metroid Prime 4. By mastering these inherited powers, Samus continues her journey to unravel the mysteries of Vuros. Now, there's a little link here that if you click on, you'll actually get a pop-up that talks a bit more about the green crystals here. By offering the green crystals, which are scattered across the planet, if you offer them here at an altar, the historical legacy of the Lemorne race accumulated within the massive tree known as the Sacred Tree can be inherited. So I wonder if all the abilities for our psychic ability, as well as anything to do with upgrading Viola, are all going to be tied to these green crystals perhaps. Then on the other side of that, you have all of the traditional upgrades from Samus. It seems like most of those are not going to be found on the planet, but actually from the troopers who are traveling with us. And last but maybe least, we have a section on those troopers here. Now, I do think it's important to note here, this page makes it clear that they're not going to be with us the entire time. At the same time, though, this will be a recurring thing. We will encounter them throughout our exploration. Now, under the mission heading, it says something along the lines of cooperate and return home. We get a little video here showing a bit of a battle, and then the text description says, in combat, you face enemies together with the Federation soldiers. You may need to protect them, or you may be aided by them. Now, remember how I mentioned upgrades possibly being given to us from these Federation soldiers? We get a glimpse of that right here with this one, which says forge ahead together. The Federation soldiers help Samus with her adventure in various ways, such as modifying Federation technology to suit Samus's equipment. Ta-da! Then the next heading here says return together, and we get a little video here that talks about the Master Teleporter. Now, we don't know this for certain, but it seems, at least for a moment in their journey, they believe that this is how they're going to get off the planet.
I can't believe it. We're actually going home.
Now, there's been a lot of talk and a lot of speculation about time travel being present here in Metroid Prime 4. I think there's a lot of breadcrumbs, there's a lot of interesting theories out there that do seem plausible. And as I was reading this, I just thought, what if this Master Teleporter actually sends them back in time or into the future? Maybe it actually doesn't accomplish what they're trying to do in sending them back to their home planet. The text here reads, Samus and the Federation soldiers share the ultimate goal of returning to their original planets. They explore Vuros together to find clues for their return. And then we get a breakdown of each individual soldier, as well as a little voice line, starting with everyone's favorite special skills soldier, Miles McKenzie.
If you find anything else, bring it in to me. I'm dying to do more experiments.
As a mechanic, Mackenzie handles maintenance and repairs of various vehicles. He's also an excellent computer technician. And the next line, I'm not sure if maybe there's a mistranslation here, but it talks about something like a timid personality and how that's helped him avoid difficult situations. Next, we get a bit of info about Sniper Tokabi.
May Solon light your path.
He's a sniper who joined the Federation Army seeking a stable life and prefers solitude. He always carries a charm with him shaped like an arrowhead and believes in its protection to escape from dire situations. Then we have Sergeant Duke, who is a veteran that has survived many battles against the space pirates.
Well, if it's the only way off this rock. All right, I'm in.
Due to a stubborn personality, he constantly clashes with superiors, but he is honest, warm-hearted, and a reliable presence on the battlefield. Then we have Private Armstrong, who excels in structural knowledge and operation of vehicles, and she can also pilot them. She has a very bright and proactive personality and is often the problem solver of the group. And she's described as having a deep admiration of Samus. If you listen to the little clip here, you can tell that she is almost starstruck by the celebrity-like status of Samus.
Samus, it's really you. I don't even know what to say. Is this a new suit?
And the final Galactic Federation soldier is actually an android by the name of View 995. View can pilot fighters, armored vehicles, and bipedal man mechs in place of humans. Although it lacks emotion-regulating programs, pseudo-emotional occurrences are observed.
I am here to support my friends. Take us home, Samus.
Now guys, this website is actually publicly available, so I'll link it in the description below. You can go there, you can try your hand at all these translations, you can try to look at some of the videos, the screenshots. Let me know what you think. If you find anything new, find anything that I got wrong, make sure to let me know in the comments below. Oh, and YouTube thinks you would like this video next. As always, thank you all so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.